Hello everyone, welcome back to MixBus TV. David here, hope you're having a great day. In this video, I'm gonna show you 10 different techniques using my 10 favorite plugins to make modern vocal doubles from one single vocal track. Let's get to it. For this video, I'm gonna use the amazing vocals of Casey, an electro rock project that I'm producing and mixing right now. So let's listen to the mono vocals dry.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins.
You might know some of these techniques already and some other are more unconventional. Let's start with the first one, which is UVI Thorus. This is a high quality chorus effect. The quality of this plugin is second to none, and the effect I get when I want to stereoize vocals is pretty unique. These are my favorite settings. Let's listen to it first and then we'll go through the settings. So this is without.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded.
This is with.
Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you.
Okay, so not only we get the stereo effect, but if you listen closely, you will hear the vocals getting warmer, a lot warmer and bigger. So the trick for me with this plugins is this. You can see here I have a low gain and a crossover knob. So this chorus effect allows you to split the signal and decide what to do with each band. For example, the blue band, the higher range, I cut the tone, which is simply a low pass filter, up to 2K. I know some people will play it safe and put the crossover maybe lower than I have and lower the low gain just to avoid a phase issue in the low range, which is concept that is correct per se. But with this plugin, this is so high quality that there's really no phase issues. Even when you mono it, the vocal remains present in the mid channel. It's pretty impressive. It has a wide mode, of course. This is my favorite for widening vocals. And according to what kind of sound you're after, any settings on this one is pretty perfect for modern vocals, but you can change speed, voices, and depth, as you can see, well, like with any other chorus effect. And then it has this edge, which is a very unique kind of sound. So starting from this, which is my favorite setting, let me play a little bit with this and you will hear what kind of different effects you can get on vocals. By the way, I remind you, this is one vocal, one track only. You can use this on the double, which I will probably try later, and have even better results.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. Nothing, why do we even try? There's nothing left here. We lost our whole world in one night. Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded.
You can hear when I turn the edge counterclockwise, the effect is less metallic, a lot more subtle and a lot more natural. Depending on what kind of effect you want, I would think for like super modern pop, candy pop vocals, I would probably turn the edge clockwise, and for a more subtle, natural effect, stereo effect, I would turn the edge counterclockwise.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. Nothing, why do we even try? There's nothing left here. We lost our whole world in one night.
And the intensity of the effect, you decided with the voices and the depth, of course. For doubling effects, I wouldn't advise you to go up with the speed, because that will turn in a pretty obvious chorus effect as opposed to a doubler. But this plugin is so velvety, so smooth, it's really nice.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. Nothing, why do we even try? There's nothing left here. We lost our whole world in one night.
It's pretty impressive, right? It's so smooth and so velvety. And just adding a little bit of reverb to this vocals, we pretty much have a radio-ready vocal.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I.
Okay, so this was the first one, the UVI Thorus. From a chorus to a high-quality granular pitch delay. Soundtoys Crystallizer is pretty unique and is also my favorite reverse delay. I'm not gonna do full tutorial on each plugin because there's so much you can do with just Crystallizer. I'm just gonna show you my favorite settings for vocal doubles with these.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's no...
Again, with this one, you can be subtle and very obvious. For regular vocal doubling, I like to keep the main pitch at 0 and adjust the splice and delay knobs to a fairly short time. Like in this case, I'm using 1/8 and a 64th. When you found the right size for the splice and the delay time that you like, you adjust pitch off, splice offs, and delay off to stereoize the vocals. Let me play with these three and you can hear the difference in stereo imaging. We are using it in insert. You can use it in send return, just put the mix all the way wet, but in this case I'm using it in insert.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. Nothing, why do we even try? There's nothing left here. We lost our whole world in one night. Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. Nothing, why do we even try that?
Okay, so even here, there's some modulation, some left-right panning, auto panning for Crystallizer, and you can adjust the feedback mode. That will also change the effect, the stereoizing of the vocals, because when you adjust the delay off, whether you have it in ping pong or dual mode, will change the stereo image.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins.
And as you can hear in ping pong mode, the delays are more obvious, so it's not really a doubling, it's more like a slapback delay. You might want to readjust the splice of the delay time, but dual, it works a lot better for straight vocal doubling.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I.
Okay, adjust the mix to your taste according to how obvious you want the stereoizing of the vocals. Again, one of my favorite for vocal doubling, Soundtoys Crystallizer. Let's get to the third one, which is a wild card. In this case, it's a stock plugin from Pro Tools, and it works surprisingly well for stereoizing. It's called Ensemble. This is usually used on synth, strings, something like that. It's a stereo manipulation tool. It works really well for vocal doubling. So one single track mono without...
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left.
Few controls on this plugin. We have the rate, so that's the speed of your modulation, the depth. And then the delay, that one will change the stereo field a lot. We're gonna play with that. And then the shimmer, it adds some higher pitch harmonics to the sound. And then the stereo width, of course, you have a mix control, so you can use it either in insert or send return. Let me turn up the depth so you can hear more clearly what the delay does. Everything else stay the same. We start at 0.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins.
So you can clearly hear there's a sweet spot here around 8 to 7 milliseconds in which this will change slightly, this number, according to the rate and the depth. There's a sweet spot in which it's not chorus flanger anymore, and it's not yet separate delays, but it blends with the lead vocals very well. It just stereoize it in a very natural way. So let me turn the delay again, and you will clearly hear when I hit the spot, the effects blend with the vocals really well.
Then both of us panicked,
Flanging.
our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in
Obvious
when
delays.
reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when
There you go.
it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I.
And we have the depth way higher. If you lower the mix, it's very natural, with and without.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of.
Okay, the shimmer is what lets you decide how bright and how poppy you want the vocals. Let's put it all the way down and up the mix so you can hear what it does.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it matters.
Again, even this control around 50%, it has a sweet spot. This is kind of metallic sounding towards the first quarter of the turn of the knob.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded.
Okay, which is an effect that you may want in some cases. And then you go here.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion.
It's just confused. That I don't like at all. But here around 50% is where it blends really well. And again, all the controls interact with each other, so play with them.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's.
Okay, again, let's try to add a little bit of delay and reverb to this.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it matters.
Okay, because this one also has a mix knob, I don't like to use it on insert. I prefer to use it on send return and then EQ this modulation, stereoize, the vocals if I'm using it as a double and I don't have a second performance. Just an advice on how to use this one. I don't really like it in insert. I like to treat it as a stereo effect track and then EQ it or compress it or whatever, saturate it sometimes. Let's get to the next one, which is Ozone Nectar 3. Pretty special for vocal doubling. iZotope has arguably some of the top plugins for modern vocals, no doubt. So I'm using only one module here, no vocal assistant, nothing else, just the harmony module of Nectar 3, with and without, and then we'll see the settings.
It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. Nothing, why do we even try this?
Okay, this one particularly blends well with this reverb. By the way, the reverb that I'm using is like my new favorite. It is Xenoverb by AudioThing, just if you want to know. It's amazing. We will talk about it in another video. But Nectar 3, simply the harmony tab. In this case, I only have two additional vocals, both at unison, and one is delayed, as you can see, by 26 milliseconds. It's just a number, just something that I prefer. Panned hard 100% left and right at the same level. Although when you delay one side, keep in mind that, and we will see that when we will use the delay to stereoize the vocals, the side that it comes after, because it's delayed, even if it's just a few milliseconds, will appear lower in level. So if you want the stereo portion of the vocal to come at the listener at the same exact level, like perfectly balanced, you might want to either lower the one that has no delay or it has the shorter delay, or turn the volume up on the one that has a longer delay, even if it's just milliseconds. But from unison here, one thing that I like to do is just fine tune it. And this is an old trick. You know, if you think about the old Eventides pitch shifter, that's what we were doing back then. Fine tune of like few cents one side and the other, make them different, and then there you have it.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when
Okay, one thing that I'm not a fan of when stereoizing vocals with modulation, like in this case, is the high end. It always sounds, I know it's modern and it works on pop music and modern trap or whatever, but I'm still not a fan. So I'm glad that Nectar here has a filter, and I like to cut a little bit of the high end.
then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I.
And we can solo the voices.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion
We can adjust the filter.
when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I.
And with the harmony module, one cool thing is that you can add as many voices as you want and adjust them accordingly. So we can put one in the middle, for example, even more delayed.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. Nothing, why do we even try this?
Or more than one.
Nothing left here. We lost our whole world in one night. Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing.
And another cool thing is that you can blend in once you decided how many voices and the tuning and the delay. You can just adjust the mix knob on the harmony tab altogether. So you just blend in all the voices. You can adjust the level of that module. In this case, the harmony module altogether. So all the voices. You can adjust the mix knob of the harmony module. So you can adjust the mix knob of the harmony module so you keep the balance and you inject as much effect as you want.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. Nothing.
Next one is StageOne. We've seen this one when we reviewed all the Leapwing audio plugins, so I will not spend too much time in here. We have a dedicated video, but this made its way into my mixes as one of the favorite plugins to add not just stereo spread, but natural ambient to the sound.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's no...
Again, I've seen it in its dedicated video. It's one of the most natural stereo spreader, stereo 2 manipulator. We have a width, a depth, and a mono spread controls. The width control, it opens up the stereo fields. We have a high pass filter to avoid stereoizing frequencies from the corner frequency and below. We had a depth, which add these reflections that give the impression that the vocals is in a room, a different room. You can decide how much.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins.
And the color slider to decide to either tilt towards the low frequencies or the high frequencies.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins.
And you see the trend. For me, probably differently from many other mix engineer, the doubles, I like the doubles more on the warm side than brighter than the lead vocal. The mono spread, of course, spread out the mono channel just in case you use this one on a stereo track. This is a mono track, so if you do not use the mono spread at all, there will not be any stereo widening. So let me show it to you.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in.
The stereo width has no effect if I don't use the mono spread because this is a mono track.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in
Now you have it.
when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered.
I like this one because there's very little modulation going on. Leapwing Audio StageOne. Let's get to another wild card. This is a special kind of vocal doubling. It's gonna be pretty obvious, and I'm using it in send return. Is UBKT, a transmodern pan tremolo effect.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded.
Let me solo it.
Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered.
Without going into details with the control, times control the rate, the speed, phase will shift the phase and change the sound because of that. The important part with this one, the one that will give you the stereo effect, is the Haas delay here and the channel offset. Let me put those at 0.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in
Then move them
when
around.
reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. Nothing, why do we even try? There's nothing left here. We lost our whole world in one night.
Again, the filter and attenuation in this case helps smoothing out, but this is a kind of a stereo effect that I would mix really low unless I want an obvious effect. Great for EDM and stuff like that for sure. With the next one, you can do so many cool things on modern vocals that it would take 20 videos just to go through half of the things you can do. But iZotope made the list another time with VocalSynth, arguably one of the coolest, most unique vocal effect plugins out there right now. Again, you can do any kind of vocal double with this one. Mostly very obvious, but I found these settings that I really like to subtle vocal doubling and again, unique sounding. So with and without.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in
With?
when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I.
Again, very, very simple, but simple works most times. You can see all these modules are turned off. The only one that is on is the Polyvox, and then I have a little bit of delay here at the bottom. So Let me try to solo the effect, and let's just listen to the polybox.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered.
We keep the formant slightly different, slightly off, either -1 or +1. Don't go over because the effect is going to be obvious. And then you can play with the human eyes and the character for the color. Mix halfway to hear how it blends with the vocals and adjust these settings.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And
you listen to it in mono like I'm doing now, so you can hear the modulation and what takes away and how it's going to sound in mono anyway. And then you add a little bit of delay for stereoizing.
then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins.
Without,
It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered.
the cool thing again is that in one plugin you have both, and you can adjust the level of each one, delay and the polybox module, or the overall mix of both the effects, keeping the relationship between them. You notice one thing that with this one, the phase cancellation, the phase shift that happens, which is normal when you use modulation, especially mixing it with the dry signal, there's some sort of change in dynamics. It's not as wild, which can be totally useful in mixing. Sometimes you don't want that, but keep that in mind. That is a byproduct of this effect that can help making the vocals sitting in the mix in a specific way, which is typical of very processed modern vocals for EDM or any kind of dance genre or many pop variations.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing.
Okay, this was VocalSynth by iZotope. Let's get to the next one. Another one from UE. They have some amazing plugins. You might know Satin, the tape emulator, but all the other effects are great. This one can be used for vocal doubling, and again, it gives you pretty unique results. So it's in send return. I'm not using it in insert because it's got no mix knob, but let's hear it. These are my starting point for vocal doubling, my starting point settings.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded.
And with?
Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. Nothing, why do we even try? There's nothing left here. We lost our whole world in one night.
So the offset is what gives you the stereo spread, and then the depth in milliseconds is how much modulation you want. This is basically almost a tape emulator where you have machine A and machine B. The manual said it all. I'm not going into details on that, but one cool thing is, again, the
Then both of us
channel offset.
panicked, our vision was stranded.
Let's solo the
Confusion
effect.
sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's no.
So when you turn the knob all the way to B, you hear only one machine, one tape machine, and on tape A, you hear basically the dry signal. Anything in between will give you different modulation effect. They go from the concept that two tape machines are not aligned, so it's very interesting, it's very unique sounding. Now I'm soloing the effect, and again, keep in mind that the stereo effect, for the most part, is given by the channel offset.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. Nothing, why do we even try? There's nothing.
And then the other control that will give you more or less stereo effect is the delay. Let's play with that, with the dry vocal in.
Then both of us panicked, our vision was stranded. Confusion sets in when reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, that
the cool thing about this one, you already hear it when she goes higher in level, is you have a very, very dynamic drive saturation knobs here that you can add to the signal.
like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here.
If we blend it with the dry vocal,
Reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I.
because the stereo field doesn't get that wide with this one, I will probably add a regular stereo widener after that one. Maybe Ozone 7 is one of my favorites. Let's try that one. And it doesn't need to be multi-band really. You can do it like regular.
Reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. Nothing, why do we even try that?
So this was just another one. Again, very unique. Let's get to, I think it's the last one, number 9. I don't know. I don't remember the numbers. This one I discovered a few days ago is by AudioThing, a brand that I recently discovered. They have some hidden gems in their line. And this one is called Space Strip. You can do so many cool effects with this one, but it's specifically tailored for vocals, or at least this is where I like it the most. And you can see it has in one plugin many of the processing that we went through in this video. Let's go one module at a time. So it's got the ensemble, and we saw, so if you don't have Pro Tools, this ensemble here on Space Strip works pretty much the same, if not better. And again, I'm working with one mono stereo track. I will put it in insert and use the dry mix knob here. The gain is at 0. So let's start with the module that I like the best, which is the ambience module. And here's the trick. If you boost the side level, once you have the ambience module in, you have the stereo effect, keep the size small, a percentage, and you don't have a reverby sound. You just have this stereo spread with and without.
Reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I.
And again, one inclusion that I like, let's put the mix all wet. They put a dumping knob where you can basically roll off the high end from this module.
Reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. Nothing, why do we even try? There's nothing left here.
Okay, pretty cool. And this is just one module, and you can adjust level for each module. So with this one, you can really tailor a stereo vocal from a mono single track any way you want. Let's try to play with the other control. For example, the ensemble. Let me turn off.
Reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. Nothing, why do we even try? There's nothing left here. We lost our whole world in one.
Okay, so by itself, it modulates quite a lot, even at low settings. But one cool thing that you can do in this plugin is you can swap the modules. So if I put the ensemble before the ambience and I add a little bit of ambience, and again, I can adjust the level, together they sound really natural and really cool for stereo effects.
Reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. Nothing, why do we
Mono.
even try? There's nothing left here. We lost.
Very subtle stereo. But again, you don't want modulation, turn the ensemble off. Let's turn the ambient off and let's hear the slapback. This is basic. I was about to show you the next one, the most basic way to do a stereo vocal, but this is pretty much it. Here we have it, a stereo slapback delay.
Reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. Nothing, why do we even try? There's nothing left here. We lost our whole world and
let's add the ambience.
reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins,
let's turn the ambience off and put the ensemble before the slapback delay.
reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. Nothing, why do we even try? There's nothing left.
Okay, again, you can play with the settings. This is really subtle. Unless you turn all the controls like crazy high, it's very subtle, and you can blend the 3 or more module effects the way you want. Then we have the vibe.
Reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it.
Is a tremolo effect, but it also has a spread knob. It works pretty similar to the Soundtoys Tremolator.
Reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. Nothing, why do we even try? There's nothing left here. We lost our whole world in one night.
You see what I'm doing here? I'm trying to blend the modulation effects, keeping them low and working with the ambient effect. But this is just a test, just a matter of taste, really. Depending on the material, you might want a very modulated vocals, and these are all cool effects. To finish with this, we have a contour, which is just an EQ, but it's nice sounding.
Reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I.
If we add our reverb to it.
Reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I.
Okay, very, very cool plugin by AudioThing, Space Trip. We just discovered it. I'm gonna do a video actually about my new free or very cheap plugins for mixing and mastering in the next days. If you're wondering, again, my reverb that I'm using here, Exetaverb, this is gonna be in that video because it's amazing, amazing reverb. And the delay was Relayer by UVI. You know, I love this one, and I happen to have a Mixbus TV preset. You know, I love this one, and if you have it or buy it, you can find my preset pack for them that I did for both Relayer and the new UVI plate reverb, which is also pretty amazing. The last one, bonus. I know pretty much all of you will know that, but just in case you don't know, the most basic way to make a vocal double out of a single mono track is the most simple delay that you can possibly find in your DAW. This is Mod Delay 3 from Pro Tools, and you can use any other basic delay as long as you can tweak left and right delays independently, and it's a good idea if it has a filter and a little bit of modulation. But this is the most basic way to double a mono single track vocal. So we add a delay. In this case, I'm using in send and return, and because we don't have another performance, I have to delay both sides. And if we keep the delay within 30 milliseconds, the longest one at least, the Haas theory tells us that when two sounds come at our ears at a distance not greater than 30 milliseconds, we perceive it as one. But because we offset left and right slightly, we will perceive the stereo effect.
Reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. No.
And of course, you can go higher with the delay.
Reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left.
The greater the delay, the wider the stereo image will appear, but of course you will start to hear the actual delay, so as a second vocals. This is perfect when you have a second vocal track and you use that one as a double. What I usually do, I keep one side as 0 because the new track is already different from the lead vocal, and just stereoize and just delay the other side. This way you have the lead vocal mono, and then the second performance on one side and the delayed second performance on the other side. They will never be out of phase with the lead vocals because it's another completely different performance. But when you deal with one single track, you have to delay both channels, just offset them to your taste. And a good idea is to add a little bit of depth, and again, a modulation to it, a low rate. And what I like to do, as you probably got it, so far is add low pass filters.
It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered.
Without them would sound like this, full open.
Wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's not.
With the dry vocal in.
Reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I. Nothing, why do we even try? Reality wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered. And when it all begins, there's nothing left here for you and I.
Okay? Very, very basic stereo widening effect to this one, since that is, again, the most basic possible. You can add a stereo imager and widen the stereo field even more, but it's probably going to be lost when monoed. But this is the nature of stereo effects.
Wins. It's all been shattered, like none of it mattered.
I wouldn't advise you to do this when you have just one mono track. When you have a second performance, yes, and you will get actually good result with it. And this is it for this video, I guess. These were 10 different techniques, 10 different ways to do vocal doubles from one single mono tracks using 10 of my favorite plugins. I hope it was useful. I hope you liked it. If you did, please leave a like. And if you have any question, any suggestion, leave it in the comment down below. Follow MixBuzzTV on Instagram and Facebook. We have a lot of exclusive content in there and a lot of news, a lot of great things coming up on the channel. Check out the links for my new premium mixing courses and all the news. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time.